There we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our December monthly energy call, Capricorn Inspiration, the power to choose. Thank you so much for joining me live tonight, or if you're watching on YouTube later, we're all connected in the quantum field in this moment of now. So even if you're watching this in the future, you're connected to us. So we just give thanks today for the solstice, the return of the light to the Northern Hemisphere. My name is Mary Beth Wollenschlager, and I created Love Your Life in Sync to really help myself and to help others find ways during these extraordinary times to come up with new ideas and new processes through a variety of things like heart math and astrology and energetic healing, to be inspired and to enjoy our time on planet Earth. It is an extraordinary time to be alive and to be here. So all my contact information, you should be able to see that on the screen. There's my website, my phone number, and my email. And please get in touch if you have any questions, or if you want to discuss anything or check out my services. So tonight we're going to talk about the Capricorn inspiration, and I like to think of it as the power to choose. I know there's a couple of Capricorns on this call tonight, and Capricorns are leaders, and they're very industrious, and it's just perfect for the start of the new year. Capricorns are going to take us into the new year. And with that, I'll take us into our presentation for tonight. So today is the winter solstice. Happy winter solstice for the Northern Hemisphere. This is the point where the sun has reached the southernmost point in the sky. And so for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, if the sun is in the furthermost southern part, it means it's furthest from us. And so the day is the shortest. But today on the solstice, the sun, sol for sun, and the solstice, the sun stands still and changes direction. So this is a perfect time to embrace something new and changing direction. And Capricorn is the sign of wisdom. It's the sign of discipline and wisdom. And discipline gets such a bad rap these days, but discipline and the word disciple go together, and disciple is about learning. So if you think of discipline, not just for the sake of discipline, but discipline including wisdom, then you can maybe look at discipline with new eyes. And so that's what I hope to present tonight, is some ideas, some ways to think about things with new eyes. And one of the things that for the winter solstice and the coming holiday season and the new year, there's a lot of rituals involved at this time of year. And rituals, that's another word that can have kind of a bad or negative connotation to it. Again, if you're just doing something ritualistically without really putting conscious thought into it, just going through the motions, it's a ritual, and it loses its meaning. But if you embrace ritual as a way to connect with something greater than you, especially something like nature, like celebrating the winter solstice, or just acknowledging it and just taking a moment to be still and to consider if it's time for you to change direction. So rituals help us feel connection to one another if we're practicing and celebrating something together as a group or with nature. It minimizes the feeling of alienation. And there is a lot of alienation in the field right now. And by the field, I mean the quantum field. There's a lot of aloneness and loneliness, and there always is around the holidays, because really joy and loneliness, they're kind of like two sides of the same coin. And so while this is a wonderful time to celebrate with family and friends, it also might be a time where we feel lonely or alone, or even worse, being with family and friends and feeling alone. But the sun is at this still point where it's changing direction. So in my little picture here, I've got the sun and the arrow and the smiley face, because in the northern hemisphere, we are entering the season of growing light. And this is the perfect time to support us for changes. For me, 2020 or 2022, my focus is to think and act differently. And acting differently begins with thinking differently. And so what I'd like to share with you tonight is why I think the Capricorn season and the Capricorn energies provide us with a lot of support for changing. So as we get started, I always like to start with a little heart map and honoring the sun. Oh, and back to the rituals. Rituals can be something as simple as acknowledging when the sun changes signs into one of the new zodiacs, which is what I do every month with this call. And so today, not only is it the winter solstice, but it's also the beginning of Capricorn, meaning the sun has moved into Capricorn. And regardless of your sun sign, or if your birthday falls during the period now until January 19th, and you actually are, quote, a Capricorn, or if you're just on this planet, you're getting to experience the energies of Capricorn. So I'm going to invite you to connect in with the idea of the solstice and the sun being still. Now, technically, we move around the sun, so it's not the sun that stands still. But from our perspective, it just shows you how powerful perspectives can be. But let's just imagine the sun reaching that still point and embracing that, so that we can use this opportunity to think about changing directions, to think about entering the new year, and think about what we might like to do differently. So I invite you to focus on your heart, breathing a little more slowly and a little more deeply, and letting the breath relax you as you picture the breath gently flowing in and out of your heart. And then think of something that makes you smile. Maybe it's the idea of the light returning, of the days growing longer. Maybe that makes you smile. Or maybe it's the idea of the new year and time for a change. Or maybe it's the idea that thinking you can change. Maybe this is the year you'll find a way to change, or you'll just decide to change. Whatever it is, find that place in your body where you can feel and relax into some gratitude for everything that has been so far and everything that is to come. And then gratitude for the moment, this moment, right now. And maybe you'd like to share that feeling of gratitude with a loved one. Or maybe you'd like to share it with a group of people that are in need of some love or some gratitude. Maybe the people in the Philippines that are recovering from the typhoon, or the people in Malaysia that are experiencing tremendous floods, or those suffering with COVID in hospitals, or those taking care of people suffering with COVID, or those just caring for people in general. So just breathe into that space, become still, let your body relax. And when you're ready, I invite you to remember that you are on Mother Earth, that you are a part of Mother Earth. Every being on this planet is connected and connected to the earth. And just ground in and relax and let all these words, this whole presentation, just let it wash over you. And know and trust that anything you need to hear or hear in a new way, or any experience that you have as you listen to this presentation, just know and trust that it's the perfect experience for you right now. So we're starting with a quote from W.C. Fields. Start every day off with a smile and just get it over with. So I think this is a fun way to talk about Capricorn, to lighten things up. And if we can remember to do this every day, this makes me smile, this makes me laugh when I think about it. So whatever you're doing, try and lighten up. Get that smile over with so that you can maybe think and act differently towards your day. Maybe it can help you find a way to look in a different direction. So we're going to start with understanding the Capricorn nature. And what I like to do with each of the 12 astrological signs is talk about the things they share in common. Every one of the signs has what we call a polarity. There's really only two polarities. You can think of them as yin and yang, or inward and outward, and they alternate. So we just finished up with the Sagittarius energies, which were outward or yang expressing energies. Now we're embracing the Capricorn energies. And this is the perfect time to sort of go within. It's dark a lot, and it's a time to be reflective. It's that the year is ending, the new year is about to begin. It's the perfect time to think about what's going on inside of you. And the stars, astrology, the stars are all about as above, so below, as within, so without. So the stars are above us, but they imprint on us. So each one of us has Capricorn in our chart. So each one of us has the energies imprinted on us. And when we talk about them and learn about them, then they become more available to us. Whatever you bring your attention and intention to grows stronger. So in addition to being an inward expressing energy, the quality of Capricorn, there are 4 seasons in the year, and 3 signs are assigned to each season. So the qualities are either the beginning, the middle, or the changing. And Capricorn is the beginning. It's called the cardinal sign. And Capricorn is the beginning of winter. So Capricorn energy invites us to initiate things, to start new things, to begin again. And the energy of Capricorn, the element, there's 4 elements: earth, water, air, and fire. Capricorn is about the earth. So it's real, it's physical, you can touch it, it's grounding. It's about structures and foundations and building. And that's where that discipline comes in. The wisdom discipline, where we choose to build something new for ourselves. And then every sign has a planet that is responsible, we like to say, is the ruler of it, or responsible for it, or works sort of in tandem with it. This is Saturn sign. Saturn is in charge sort of Capricorn. And so we have a picture here of Saturn. And there's some amazing things about Saturn. First of all, the rings. It's the only planet with the visible rings, as far as I know. When we look at the planets in our solar system anyway, there probably are, there's a gazillion planets out there, so I'm sure other planets have rings. But these rings, I looked up what these rings were, and they're described as very complex structures. So when we learn about the planet, we learn about, in the name, this planet was given the name Saturn. And Saturn gets a really bad rap in astrology sometimes, and also the myth associated with Saturn, it's not a pretty one. But Saturn, the planet, has these rings, and these rings are structure, and these rings provide balance. So this gives us a clue as to what the Capricorn energies offer us and what Saturn offers us. So balance, look how perfectly balanced those rings are. And the energies of Saturn provide the boundaries. So before the telescope was discovered, and we can see planets far off in the distance, before that, when the astronomers and the astrologers, they were one and the same back in the day, looked up in the sky, they could actually see Saturn. Saturn is the farthest visible planet. So Saturn is also about boundaries. So Saturn can help you with your boundaries. If you call on Saturn, just embrace the Saturn energies, the Capricorn energies. Having good boundaries, it's essential these days, not only on the physical level because of the virus, that the pandemic that we're experiencing, but also on the emotional level and the mental level. Knowing, and that's we get those boundaries, we can understand them better when we do some inward reflecting. Saturn also is known as the inner teacher, again tying into the idea of discipline. But Saturn wants us to grow. Saturn loves a challenge. So Saturn is constantly challenging us and helping us find new ways of doing things. And Saturn is also, the symbol for Saturn is the goat, the mountain goat. And the mountain goat is an amazing animal. First of all, if you've ever seen a mountain goat climb up a hill, it goes fast and it's sure-footed, and it has such little hoofs. The hoofs are like 2 inches, and yet it's sure-footed and it's steady and it scrambles up the mountain. So Capricorn really likes challenges and likes the climb. Another thing I learned about the goat is those amazing antlers. That those antlers were the first cornucopias. So cornucopia is metaphysically a symbol of abundance and fertility. So Capricorn wants us to have abundance, wants us to manifest things. Capricorn is real. Capricorn is the reality train. Capricorn likes to make it real. It's not an airy-fairy energy. It's grounded because it's the earth. Capricorn is very practical and utilizes what it already has. So Capricorn says, don't go out and buy something. Look at what you already have. How can you do what you want to do? Take a look around. Do you even know what you have? And maybe there's something that you've overlooked that you can utilize to help you achieve what you want to achieve. The other thing that's really fascinating about the goat was one of the sacrificial animals, and animal sacrifices is so hard for us to understand in the current day, but it was actually a sign of respect, and every part of the animal was used, and it was sort of an honor. I know it sounds a little odd, but we do get the term scapegoat as well, because the goat was offered. But another way of looking at that as the scapegoat and that offering, that sacrifice, is sometimes, and this goes back to discipline, sometimes you have to give up what you have to get something even better. So I think wisdom discipline invites us to try on new practices to help us change and grow. And maybe it's for our physical well-being, maybe it's working out or going to the gym, and maybe that's a challenge. Maybe we don't want to do it. We'd rather sleep in, or we'd rather eat snacks or potato chips in front of the TV. But giving that up to get something we want, to get strong, to take care of our bodies. So it's no wonder that Capricorn is the season of resolutions. But I don't like to think about this invitation from Capricorn, or this idea of thinking and acting differently in 2022 as necessarily a resolution. Because if you focus on the thinking part, just thinking differently is where it starts. And if we want to have different experiences, because we are now more connected to the quantum field and we're learning more about the quantum field, we have to understand that our thoughts are affecting the quantum field. And what we think truly is bringing us what we are experiencing. And it's much easier to not change than it is to change. But if we want to experience something different, we need to start embracing new ways to think. The goat is also very curious and inquisitive. In fact, it's second in curiosity only to cats. So goats invite you to be a detective and be curious about things, find new experiences or new communities, new ways of looking at life differently, especially if maybe you've become a little bored with life, or you need a change, you need something different. So the goat invites you to be curious and inquisitive. Okay, so embodiment practices. So all the signs rule a different part of the body, and Capricorn rules the knees. The knees are all about moving forward. So this is the season, this is the zodiac sign to love up your knees. And if you wanted to do hand astrology, the knee reflex is very easy to find. If you look at your hand palm, if you look at the palm of your hand and go to the outside edge of your pinky finger, and then if you go halfway between the root of your pinky finger and your wrist, halfway, you can feel like a little bone jutting out. That's the knee reflex. So you can just circle that area or press in with your thumb, and that is connecting you to the knee. And just again, like when we give our attention and intention to something, we create more of a connection. So if we just give a little massage to that area, we're showing our knees a little love. Another thing you can do for your knees is strengthen them. And you can look those exercises up on YouTube. There's tons of them. And depending on your physical abilities or what you want to do, you can find the perfect thing to help you show those knees some love. My last suggestion for knees, and this is one that kind of really blew me away this year. I had been having some knee pain going up the stairs and going down the stairs. And honestly, I've had it for a number of years. And I finally tried giving up gluten, and it made a huge difference. Gluten is very inflammatory, so it's really tough to give up gluten during Christmas cookie season. But you might want to check it out and see, especially if you are eating Christmas cookies and your knees are bothering you even more. Once the Christmas cookies are gone and done with, maybe in January, you might want to consider a gluten-free diet. My understanding is you need 2 solid weeks with no gluten, not just like eliminate some of the gluten. It's no gluten, period, which is a lot easier to do these days because there's a lot of gluten-free products, but it's total elimination of gluten. And I literally noticed a difference within 2 weeks. I was so grateful. It makes it a lot easier to not eat gluten when you feel that much better. So another embodiment practice for the Capricorn season is to find a challenge. Find something to climb, whether you literally climb or figuratively climb. Find something you want to learn, or something that challenges you, something you know nothing about. Be inquisitive about it. Find something that means something to you, that you think would help you grow and achieve something, and maybe manifest some different results in your life. And it's always good to do some good in the world, right? So this could be a challenge, finding a new cause, or just finding a way to help one person, maybe being kinder to strangers. Sometimes it's easier to be kinder to strangers than to our own loved ones. I know that's been a challenge for me lately, but being kinder puts more good out in the world. And keeping a sense of humor, like I started our call with the quote, start every morning off with a smile and just get it over with. So try and be lighthearted and be curious and approach life like a goat. You know, be willing to climb, be sure-footed, know your boundaries, and find ways to think and act differently. And remembering that when we think differently, being aware of our thoughts is really the key. We have to be aware in order to change our thoughts. And we have to realize that we do have a choice in the matter. And again, it's easier not to change. But I was talking with someone today and we were talking about change. And he said, yeah, change is hard. And then we both stopped and we said, well, you know what? Change, that's just a belief. So there's a thought. So you could change that thought. You catch yourself thinking, oh, change is hard, or exercising is harder, whatever it is, that's hard. That's a belief. So that's your choice. So you can continue to believe that, or you can let it go and think a new thought and believe something different and just change. So it's not really hard to change. You just do it. You just make up your mind and you do it. But believing you can do it is the key. And that's why the quantum field comes in. So one of the things that I am going to do this year to help me think and act differently is learn more about quantum physics. Now, quantum physics seems to be everywhere. There's YouTube videos on it, there's books on it, and it may sound super complex, but there's some basic information about how quantum physics works that really is pretty easy to understand. And one of the things that I learned from a book called Alice and the Quantum Cat, which is really a bunch of short stories or chapters written by quantum physicists that help explain what the quantum field is. And one of the things I learned was what a quantum leap was. I used to think a quantum leap meant just a gigantic leap from here to there. But in the quantum field, there is no time and space in the quantum field. So you can be here and then you're there, but you did not travel through time and space. You did not travel that distance. The shortest distance between two points is a straight line. That's not quantum physics. So in quantum physics, we're in one spot and then we pop out into the quantum and then we pop back in a different spot. And the only thing in the quantum, everything is possible. So the only thing that limits us is our beliefs. This is why we need to think differently. If we think differently, we can start to act differently. So here's some Capricorn considerations for this month. This is a really interesting one. What would it feel like if you believed that you were the hero of your own life story? I have a little hero here that's calling out to me in her kitty voice. What would that do for you? How would that change your self-talk? Or how would that make you think about choices you made in the past and how you've judged yourself? You know, every hero faces challenges, right? Every hero has an antagonist. Every hero, it looks really dark before the breakthrough. So that made me hopeful. I was thinking about that today. Like, what if I believed I was the hero or the heroine of my own life story. And that just made me smile. That made me perk up and think, yeah, because truthfully, if you aren't the hero of your own life story, who is? Who better than you to be the hero? And then here's another thing to think about. This is from Alice in Wonderland. The Queen, Alice says something's impossible, and the Queen says, my dear, every morning before breakfast, I think 5 impossible thoughts. So can you think 5 impossible thoughts every day? Would that help you to think differently? So I would like to wish you a joyful and bright holiday season and coming new year. May your load be light, and may you embrace the power of choice for your thoughts. I hope these Capricorn themes and ideas and just understanding the nature of Capricorn maybe gives you some insight on how you can think differently in 2022. And speaking of 2022, our next call will be back on Wednesdays on January 19th. And that's when we will talk about the Aquarius energy. So again, there's my contact information. I love to connect. So if you're interested in any of my offerings, please check out my website. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube, where these calls have been recorded. So thank you very much. And again, have a wonderful holiday season and a very happy, special new year. Thank you.